Welcome to Steve 87th, Puget Sound and Pacific Railroad.
Hi everyone, this is Steve 87th PSAP Railroad, or Puget Sound and Pacific. This is my channel, and I just wanted to invite you guys to come along and watch as I build my railroad, build up some kits, do some kit bashing, and running trains like the one behind me. So if this is what you guys like to watch, stick around for a while and see if you like the channel. Hey model railroaders, it's Steve 87th here. I wasn't going to show you doing a build per se until I got to something that was a little bit more interesting. However, I wanted to help out my fellow model railroaders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how I put together this wet dry bin. Now, one of the things that's I found it challenging. That's why I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a heads up on how you might be able to do this the best way possible. So let me go ahead and show you what I had to do and some of the parts that come into it and some of the things that work. Okay, so let's go over to the build. I've built one already. I'll show you what that one looks like, and then we'll go ahead and start building the next one. Okay, so as you guys might remember, we had a little bit of an issue here making those bottom parts. Well, as we go up, here's another fun thing. So I got this all done, got the ladders on, got the little stands there for the guys, ladders, and then finally got the roof. Now, that's not a quite finished roof, but I'm going to show you how to do that. This down here is what a finished roof looks like. So it has a couple of different parts on it and these vents. So just want to show you guys these little tiny parts over here that are on the ground. Those are actually the vents, and they're two-part vents, so you have to put them together. So I was going to show you guys how to do that and then put the vents on. Okay, next next thing we have to do, this was kind of easy, but there's kind of a neat thing that goes along with this. Oops, sorry. The top here, there's kind of a neat thing that goes along with this, which is kind of easy. I'm not going to show you guys how to do the ladders. Those are fairly easy to do if you've done the ladders before. What's the problem to do? Putting all of this together. All right, and I will show you why. Now, one of the things that I want to warn you about putting this together, I used several different glues to make this happen. All right, this is a very thin, extra thin cement that actually flows in between. When you put two pieces of plastic together, it flows right in between them, so that you get a nice good adhesive. This is a slower acting, this Expert is a slower acting plastic glue, which has a pretty good sticky tack to it. This also has a sticky tack to it. This, again, is a glue that I've been using that I picked up in Japan. It is thicker, but it is also stickier. And then there's a reason that we're gonna have to be doing all of that. So let me show you how to put these little guys together first and how those go on, because the instructions don't really make it extremely clear to you for that. And these are tiny, tiny parts. Okay, so let's start with them. So the first thing we're going to do is try to show you the two parts. Okay, first of all, when you cut these off of the spur, they're really hard to get off of the spur because they are put on the spur with four pieces. Okay, so there's actually four pieces of it. Let's see if we can get this to focus. No, it's going to focus in the four. Okay, but this actually has an opening. Let's see if you guys can see that. Okay, that actually has an opening to it. I'm going to block that off a little bit more so you guys might be able to see it. Okay, let's hold that up there. And there we go, focus is in now. So that's actually an opening. This bottom side is the flat. That flat side actually goes onto the side of the the roof, okay? That's one piece. Now the other piece, see if I can get it in to view. Hold it. Give me a second. There we go. The other piece is even smaller. And look, it too has a hole. And it has a flat side to it. Okay, and as you can see here, give me a second. It also has a round side to it. So the way the two of these work together is you actually have to put the two parts together, which is crazy, okay? But I'm going to show you on this blank card because it won't focus in any other better. So, little piece, round, make sure your hole is up, okay? The second piece, so the best thing to do, I found, because this is so small and hard to hold on to, I take my little brush, put what little glue that there is to go on there. Then you need to take the second piece. If you can see the second piece, how it's got this big kind of thing to it and it's flat over in this area. This area is the area that goes on here, but this part down here goes to the bottom. So we turn this upside down and put them together. And of course it's going to be difficult. There you go. So now, I don't know if you can see that. Let's just bring this up closer. Those are the two parts together. That's what it needs to look like in the end. Not easy. Plus, again, you've already had to sand all of these down. So let me put the other three together and I'll show you how to put them up. Okay. So I got my 4 pieces done. This one I don't have to be as dramatic with, although it's still not a wonderful thing to do. So on the top of this roof, you can see this little indentation. That's really kind of cool. It shows you where it goes to, but it really doesn't lock it in there any way, shape, or form. So you're just basically stuck with putting it on there. And then that's the way it looks. Okay, and then you get to do that 4 more times. I'm going to do these quickly because I've already done them before on the other side, and I just want to move on. Okay. That you would hope sometimes that they would have guides or something to place them right where you wanted to, but they don't. They are simply just put some glue down there and stick them in the holes. Okay, and then last one is here. As soon as I find it. Now, of course, the other thing is they're so small that sometimes it's hard to find them. Okay, and there we go. There's all 4 of those on. So next we're going to move to the top piece, and I'm going to show you something that you want to do before you glue everything together. Okay, so now we go to the top piece. It consists of 2 round pieces and a post, okay, which then makes up this assembly. All right, now, real important, the top of this has a single hole in it, which is where your pipe's going to go in that will feed the tower. Okay, this has the single hole. The single hole comes up here. That's the feeding, and you can see here that it's a Y. The cool thing about that is that means that you can make that flexible. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that this top piece here gets that little nub off of it so that it's nice and filed. Okay, so my problem was that I didn't quite get the top done, but one of the things you want to do is while this glue is starting to set up, Make sure the top hole is aligned correctly. Turn it around, and then you want to make sure that this swings back and forth. Again, if you don't have that swinging back and forth like that, then when you go to try to put your hose or your pipe in there, when you actually set this up, it'll be really difficult. So now that just goes right in there. Okay, and now you see we can turn this all the way around, and then we can also rotate that to accept the pipes from any direction. All right, so that's how we do our lid. Now comes the big fun part. So we're going to go over the components of this next part of the build. First is this round ring where, if you guys can see, hopefully, there are little notches in each one of these things. Also, one of the things you really have to observe and be observant with are these two notches here. This is where one of your ladders go, and it's also a primary point for where you're going to put some, start building this tank out. Then the next, we have our side pieces. Okay, our side pieces are kind of fun in the fact that we have one piece that has a door, one piece that, if you guys can see, I don't know if you can or not, right there and right there has little holes drilled in it most of the way through. That's for our ladder rungs. Then you've got the remaining pieces, which is about, what is it? There's 7 remaining pieces, which have nothing on them. They're all just plain. Now, there's a couple of things that's wrong here, right? Okay, so I showed you those little hole in grooves, right? So on the ends of each one of these, you can see that it has the 3 legs. So those 3 legs go inside those little holes like that. Okay, simple enough. Next problem we have, look at these sides. This is the inside portion of it. You can see one that they're curved, but the other problem is that this is completely flat. So when you're going around putting these together, you have to, and I'll show you how I did this. You have to put them in these grooves, and then you have to glue them together. However, you can't use the top to help align, because all it has is this inside rib that comes in there. So there's no way to align it that way. So you have to put these together, and then there's one of 2 ways. I'll show you the way that I did this. But this is actually going to have to be a butt joint on all of these to go all the way around. Okay, so that brings into some problems. One, because I've got nothing to hold this from sliding or anything like that. I can't use a rubber band to hold it together. Right? I can't use a rubber band to hold it together. Clamping it, I could kind of use it, but then again, it's got this curve. So if I clamp it too much and it clamps it straight, they're not going to be curved right. Okay, so I'm going to go through and show you what I did. So the first thing that you guys have to do on all of these, since you're doing a butt tie-up, is you've got to make sure that every one of these are perfectly smooth all the way up and down, and don't take off the little nubs at the end. All right, I'm going to finish taking these off, and I'll show you what happens. Let's see if I can show you guys how this is going to have to work. You need to start with the part that has the holes in it. The reason is those holes have to line up where the ladder goes, which is these little marks right here. So this is where it becomes tricky. So if you try to put that in there, right, it's just going to want to try to fall. And then you have to put the next one in, which is the door. The door goes next to it on the right-hand side. Once you get those 2 in, now you can start building out the rest of the way. So I'm going to show you how to put the first 3 of these in the way that I did it. Okay? So first of all, we want a good sticky glue. The reason is these have got to stand up almost on their own. So the first thing you want to do, go ahead and glue your little tabs. Now, when you put this in, it's real important that the center tab, oops, almost put it in the wrong place. So you want to make sure that the lower holes line up with this ladder, and that this center hole here, where that's at, is aligned on the ring in the center, because that's going to be the full one. Now, you have, in this area right here, you have half of one of these tabs open. Why? Because that's where this other half of this tab goes. So, I actually am using the Walthers glue right now, and if you can see, that's it's a very slow, it's a thick glue, but it takes a while for it to dry. So that is not the optimal glue to be using in this situation. Now, my thin glue, on the other hand, is very sticky and flows really well, and glues up pretty quickly. You don't want it to glue up instantly, but it needs to stay up there quickly. So the first thing is, and it stays a little bondable, which is kind of nice. So you can see now that actually is staying a little bit more. So once I've got that staying, now I can go to the next one. I know that I'm going to do 2.5 of these, basically. So there's my door. My door goes next to this one. Now, unlike the other builds before, this would have held itself up, but it doesn't. It splits itself apart. This is where the thin glue is wonderful. So what the thin glue will do is you go in between the two of them and you just draw a line up of it. The reason is, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to glue the two sides together, because the glue itself will wick in between those two areas into that butt collection, and will make the glue for you. Now, once you get the first two done, it's kind of nice because they start holding themselves up. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I did that again, so you can see there, they're holding each other up. So I'll show you the next one that I'm going to do. All right, and then I'll put the rest of them in. Now, there is another thing that you can do. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the top here is a little separated. We'll take care of that. That's why you've got to have these bottoms butted up really good. And then the tops are going to be on. Don't worry about gaps between the two of them, because we have beams that go down in between each one of those. So let me show you this one again. Again, I've showed you down here, so I'm not going to worry about that. You guys have seen that. I want you more to focus on how I'm doing this center section, right? So it's really cool that they just hang there by themselves. It makes it a lot easier for everything else. And again, I'm not worried about painting right now. That's going to come later. But you still don't want to get glue all over the place if you can help it. Okay? So you got to kind of match these up the best you can. And they do match up very, very well. Okay, once you've got those into that position, since it's extra thin and it flows, you just go right down that crack. Again, what I like about the Tamiya paint, the Tamiya cement, is the fact that it's thin and it does flow so easily, but it dries pretty quickly too. You just get that little section right up in there. Okay, so that's what you need to do to go all around. So I'm going to go all the way around the rest of this, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get back. Okay, brought you back for the last one. So you can see now, all the way around, all I've been doing is butt splices. Okay, so this last one, still the same thing. You want to get your glue down in these little crevices down here. Now, you can kind of understand why we don't want to put glue on both sides of this, because once you get to these last ones, or even some of the ones in the middle, You got to get it in there. And all of the manhandling that you have to do with this thing, and I think actually on the last one, I actually put the glue in at the bottom afterwards. But this has got to fit right in there. Okay. So this is always the hard part. This is the last one, and the last one's always going to be the hardest one to put in. Okay. Especially on camera. Okay. So first you got to get them in the holes. Then you just kind of stand it up. It's almost like doing a tilt-up building in the real world. So, but the thing is here is you've got to glue one side first. So let me get my hand out of the way. You got to glue the one side first. Now, mind you, see how flexible that is right now? Glue that up in there. Now again, like I said, the cool thing about the Tamiya glue is it actually, it sticks together fairly quickly. And once it's sticky, now that's sticky, you can let go of it and find your other side. Now we found our other side, and then that's the last thing that we got to do. And of course, this is the critical one because it's got to hold the rest of the round. Cap my glue real quick, hold this together, come down. I got to go inside a little bit, kick this out just a little. Just a little right there. Okay, sorry if my arm's in the way. Okay. And once that's set, boom, there we go, done. All the way around. Got a nice tight fit all the way around. You can see that it's still kind of malleable, right? So it's not completely all set up. So this is where, again, we switch glues again. That was great. The Tamiya did really good job to get it done and fast, but now we need a glue that sticks a little bit longer and has better coverage. Why? Because now we're gonna glue all of the other things in. So you see here that there's an I-beam that runs the whole length of this. Well, in every place where we connected, there's an indent. And what's that meant for is to put the I-beams in. Now, one of the things you gotta know about the I-beams, let me show you, I gotta show you this up close because you're not gonna see it any other way. If you look at the I-beam, give it a second to focus. One side has the 4 little rivets in it. The other side has nothing. This is the only way that it tells you how to put it on. The rivets go down, okay? So, the way that we do this, there's a couple of ways. I just put a nice bead of glue down. Again, this can be your favorite thicker glue. It doesn't really matter because you're doing two things. You're adding holding ability on this. And you're putting these pieces in place. So that just goes right in there and the little trough that's been created. Push it down a little bit. And that's it. That's the way you do it. I'm going to go ahead and finish this all off and show you what it looks like. Okay, so all of those are put on. You can see. The cool thing about it is they now provide the extra strength that you need for the thing to totally glue together. Okay, so again, this is one of the few things that we need to actually have a couple of different glues. Now, the other thing is a lot of people would come up and go, oh, okay, well, now that I'm done with that, I can put the top on, right? Well, no, not so much. If you look at the top, there's a ladder that goes up there, and there's 2 rungs of the ladder that go there. You could hopefully position this right over the correct set of ladder holes here, and you get it in the right place, but basically you got to leave it loose until you build your ladder up. Because your ladder, I'll show you in the other one, will go right up here to the top and actually hits where that ladder section is. Okay? So, The other thing is because of the prototype that I'm actually building, I may actually cut this down some. I'm not sure because they've got two of these, but one of them's shorter than the other one. Or I may just say, the heck with it. I'm going to do I'm going to do what I've got and use the two of them. I haven't decided yet. But there you go. That is the two grain dryers that are up there. Okay, I want to thank everybody for watching. Hey, I'm really sorry about the last video. I don't know what happened. YouTube just did some weird things. It duplicated the video for one. Then when I tried to take it off, it took off the parent video to begin with. So, yeah, that happened. So sorry about that. I lost most of your guys' comments and all that. So if you guys want to comment on the film that I reposted, which I said is a reload, please go ahead and do that. I still have to go out and I've got to find and or buy a couple of more grain storage bins. I can't even get to the ones that I've got that are around someplace, but they're in a bin somewhere. So anyway, this was kind of a challenging one. I wanted to show you guys kind of the trick to do this and not get frustrated. And the biggest way to not get frustrated is use the right glues on what you need to do at the time. You can't use like the heavy tester's glue because then you'll get glue all over the exterior of it. It's hard to do it on the inside because you got to plan the inside. Try to do it in a two-step method. If you're going to build a bunch of these, maybe you go ahead and build a jig so that you can hold it together. But you can see that there is no way to use rubber bands or anything like that to hold this together. So I hope this helps. Stay tuned. There'll be more to come on this. Other than that, this is Steve 87th. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button and send me back any feedback that you guys have. Or if you have some grain stuff left over, let me know. I might be able to use some of it. I've already got like 5 or 6 grain elevators that I got to build and a couple of other things. So anyway, that's all I've got for tonight. Again, thanks a lot for watching.